This is my final one. This is how we run our campaign. It says you give them everything but no future, and make yourself climate neutral. So that is essentially our message. Thank you.
Right. I believe that the remaining speakers will be speaking without visual aids. Is that right? Is there anybody else who has a... But you have a presentation. All right. Those who don't, if I may, can I ask you to speak from where you are? Because I think the process of getting up and down is going to be rather difficult. I hope those microphones are on. If they're not, the switch is simply in the middle. We're now going to migrate somewhat eastward, and we're going to hear from a very close collaborator with the British campaign. I'm told a man who's been instrumental in really getting climate campaigning going in his country, and that is Mark Bossanyi from the Climate Coalition in Bulgaria. Mark.
Working. Can you hear me? Thanks. I represent the Climate Action Coalition in Bulgaria, which is a loose coalition of about a dozen NGOs, Bulgarian NGOs, which to a greater or lesser extent have activities related to climate change. We've been acting over the last couple of years in the framework of the Global Climate Campaign. But rather than going into detail about the activities that we do, I thought it'd be useful to have a look at some of the challenges which we're facing in Bulgaria, which I think will find a reflection in the challenges in quite a lot of other non-extremely economic developed countries, if I can put it that way. Yesterday, we looked very about the need for a social movement. We all, I think, appreciated that the political process will never make any headway if there's no large-scale social movement to push political decision-making processes. And what are the obstacles to creating a big social movement in a country like Bulgaria? We have in our coalition a lot of organisations, but frankly, a very few people. We have to get through to the mass public much more deeply. How do we do that? It's very easy to frighten people with climate change. We talked a lot about that yesterday. But it's very difficult to inspire them, and you have to be very careful about what means of communication you use to inspire people to, as the colleague from Holland said, to live in a carbon neutral manner. Yesterday I listened to George Marshall, who put forward a vision of a carbon neutral urban existence, which personally I found extremely inspiring. But the problem is that I'm lucky. I've been able to live in the town, I've been able to live in the country, I've been able to live in 3 countries and to absorb 3 very different cultures, to travel a lot. I've had masses of choice. I've been very lucky. The problem in a country like Bulgaria is that large sections of the population are now currently emerging from what you could probably describe as rural drudgery. George spoke about a lifestyle where you come out of your house in the morning and there are people actually walking in the street, people talking to each other. You know everybody down your street. I don't want to repeat everything he said, but just for the benefit of the people who weren't here yesterday, I'll just mention some of the things he said. He mentioned that the people in his street would be fit and healthy and perhaps sunburned because they work their little plot of land and produce some of their own food. They don't spend half their day commuting to a job which is a long way away in the middle of the city. Their real life, their real existence is at their own place and not always somewhere else, like waiting for your holiday to come up. I mentioned, I had a small discussion with George yesterday, and we both agreed that it was very important to tailor this message and this vision for the different realities. You see, the problem in a place like Bulgaria is that the people who had been living until very recently in very difficult rural situations, yes, they knew everybody who lived in their street, in the village. Everybody in the street, in the village, they were talking to each other, but they were, talking malicious gossip, for instance. They were all fit and healthy, very fit and healthy, because they'd been slogging their guts out in their little field to try and scrape as much food as they could, feed the family with. They didn't commute, because there was no jobs in the town. There was only one bus a week. And so on. This vision is, well, I'm saying this vision, some of the elements in this vision is something that they are all too familiar with. And I think it's very important. You see, a lot of these people who, now that Bulgaria has joined the European Union, their prospects have opened up for economic development. And young people who were living in these circumstances, they want to go to the city. They want to sink into the anonymity of the city. They want to go out and not be seen by their neighbours. They want to feel the power of the 4x4 Jeep underneath their feet, not the mud of their village street. It's depressing, but it's a fact. They want the sophistication. They want to feel they're part of this big, powerful. It's a feeling of empowerment, a bit too literally. Empowerment by using, lots of energy, frankly. So I think what we're trying to concentrate on in Bulgaria is to make very clear the distinction between the rural drudgery that a lot of people were living in and what effectively is a very sophisticated and high-tech but green way of life, which is what George Marshall spoke about yesterday and which was so compelling. We'll talk a little bit more detail about the specific circumstances in Eastern Europe in the seminar later, so I won't occupy with it now. Thank you very much.
And our migration seems to continue much further eastward now to an area of the world, should we say, contentious in circles of discussion of climate change. It's with the very greatest pleasure that I would ask you to welcome Ichin Cheng, who's from the Executive Committee of the Taiwan International Environmental Action Network. Ichin.
Everybody talk about Taiwan. They just ask me, is a place as Bangkok, and normally in Western or Europe, people doesn't know where is Taiwan. They thought it's Thailand or somewhere else. So my personal base in the UK at this moment. I originally from Taiwan. I sit on the board of the Taiwan Green Party and also the team. Today I come here on behalf of the Taiwan Climate Change Coalition, which we started March last year with CCC campaign. So today I want to start with some of the few points about Taiwan climate change campaign and what we've been done in the past. For example, I want to start with the Taiwan climate change, some of the facts. There's quite interesting figures come out since 1990. Taiwan's carbon CO2 emission was 2 and 4 times compared to most of the country. Right now, Taiwan has 13 per person. It's 13.5 CO2 per capita, which is higher than UK and also is the highest in Asia. So that is the figures we are faced to, and also because Taiwan is not